A very pleasant good afternoon as we welcome you into a Thursday edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. Yep, we're both here. We're both at Quaker Steak Lube, the place to be as we get ready for Big Ten Championship Saturday. Of course, you can listen for that Big Ten Championship game right here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. We'll have Compass Media Network's coverage of the Nittany Lions and the Ducks starting at 7:45. That will follow the coverage of the SEC Championship game, which we will also have for you. Coverage beginning at 3:30 between Texas and Georgia. Yep, it's just your home for football right here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. Lots to get into. Obviously, we're going to talk a lot of Penn State, Oregon today. A few notes, though, as we open up the program here on this Thursday afternoon. So, again, we will have live coverage of Penn State, Oregon, Big Ten Championship game for you right here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox starting at 7:45 Saturday night. We were scheduled to have our first high school winter sports event of the season tonight. That is not going to happen. Bellefonte, Bald Eagle area wrestling has been postponed until tomorrow night. And due to some conflicts with other things going on out there, unfortunately, we're not going to have that match for you tomorrow night. We'll certainly work to get plenty of Bald Eagle area and Bellefonte wrestling on the airwaves over the course of the season. But again, I misspoke this morning. Thought we got quick clarification. I just missed the message. Initially, it looked like Bellefonte at Bald Eagle area was on for wrestling tonight. That's what we announced. And then again, very shortly thereafter, I missed the note saying, I was mistaken. Never mind. We're not having it tonight. It's postponed till tomorrow night. We didn't get that on the morning show.
We're not talking weather, are we?
Bald Eagle area did not have school today. I'm not sure if Bellefonte ended up. I think Bellefonte might not have either. They might have both. I'm not sure on Bellefonte. Bald Eagle area I know went to remote. Bellefonte, I'm not positive, but anyway,
as of last night, because I was looking at it, because I was seeing the State College was open and Bellefonte wasn't on the list either. So
yeah, State College. Everybody had at least a 2-hour delay this morning, but so anyways, no Bellefonte at Bald Eagle area wrestling tonight. That match will be tomorrow night, but we will not have coverage of it for you here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. We'll kick off our high school winter sports coverage on Monday, and we'll have more on that in the coming days. Lots to get into. Again, just on the sports coverage front then for tonight, we will have then the NFL game in its entirety, the Lions and the Packers.
It's a hell of a game, man.
Might
be one of the top games ever on Thursday night.
Yes. So our coverage now will begin of that. We were going to join that in progress when the wrestling ended. Now we'll have that in its entirety starting at 7:30. So our lineup, just if you're, we'll have Jed Donahue and the Pennsylvania Sports Network following our show, which will wrap up at 4. Jed will take you from 4 to 6. And then we'll have Fox Sports from 6 to 7:30 this evening. And then at 7:30, again, we'll have the NFL coverage of Thursday Night Football with the Detroit Lions taking on the Green Bay Packers.
Let's go back.
Yeah, I'm with you. Funny how quickly we turn. It's like, Detroit's a great story. Okay, that's enough of that story.
They're too great of a story.
More so for you. I'm okay really either way. But yeah, the Eagles. The Eagles getting it done last week. Thank you, Saquon, having himself a season. One of the things I do want to get into, because I think just in general, I've been thinking about this a little bit. I think we get caught up, and to some degree, understandably so, on, all right, well, there's been a lot of talk about narratives. And narratives usually carry over several seasons. So James Franklin can't win the big game. That's the narrative. Well, this year he's had one opportunity, and yep, they didn't cash in on it. He'll have at least two more, and hopefully, from Penn State's perspective, 3 or 4 more opportunities to have big game wins under his belt. But when you look at, and again, I'm not even saying this is not without merit that you look at things this way, but like Alabama is getting a lot of benefit of the doubt, and there is some belief that one way or another they're going to sneak their way in.
Sure.
Now, if you look at Alabama's resume this season, I'm sorry, the 3 losses they have, they would not be under consideration if they had pick an SEC team: Mississippi, Mississippi State, Florida,
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M. If you had that resume, the exact same wins, and they have good wins. I'm not even sure they have a great win. I know Georgia, and we'll get into that a little bit later too. Georgia's a good win. But as the season has played out, I'm not sure you could qualify that as a great win.
They both have horrible losses.
But Alabama's loss, I'm sorry, to Vanderbilt and then to Oklahoma late in the season, that is
for them to still be at 11
again,
is crazy.
A 3-loss team is and with those being the losses, again, it's not like they lost to Texas, Georgia, and Tennessee. That's not what happened here, folks. They've lost to not good teams, at least not record-wise.
So they're taking the better wins over the bad losses, because they are some horrendous losses. But I'm asking you, there's Noble, by the way.
Yeah, we have Brandon Noble on Pennsylvania Cable Network, getting ready for
PIAA. It's halftime right now.
Yep.
So Guilfoyle's playing. Wheeler was one of my college roommates. He lived with us for 4 years, so he's the head coach of Bishop Guilfoyle. So I'm always watching out for his team. But Brandon's done this for many, many years. He's done these games. I think he does Thursday and Friday, and I think somebody else comes in Saturday because he has to travel for the NFL.
Yeah.
But with that said, I mean, who are you? Are you saying that Miami should be ahead of Alabama?
Well, so this is
because it is all hypothetical. It's crazy.
Yes. So here is at the end of the day my great insight here, Goon, which is, I can make the argument either way.
Top dollar, top notch, top money.
This is, and we've talked about this, but it really is one of the great difficulties in college football and creating these playoffs. And let me just start with that as we've talked about, you're going to have a debate. If you cut it off at 4 teams, there's going to be debate at 5, 6, maybe even 7. Man, they had a strong case. If you cut it off at 12, there's going to be 13, 14, 15. If we go to 64 teams, it's going to be, as you see with the basketball tournament. Yep. Like there's always going to be that debate. I would say, while I don't think it would be impossible for an Alabama this year, or let's say a South Carolina, which actually I think has every bit as strong of a contention that they should be in as Alabama or Ole Miss. If I don't think those teams, again, while I don't rule out the possibility that, one of them could get hot and matchups favor them and they win the title, I don't think so. I don't think any of those teams are winning the national title this year, even if they got into the playoffs and got the opportunity. And at the end of the day, that's one of the things that I think college football in general, and those of us that are fans, wanted to see was, all right, let's at least get all of the teams that are really national title contenders in there. And I think we will have that. I think there's 8, 9 teams that probably, now that isn't to say that probably can go 3 games or 4 games in some cases and match up and keep going. I just don't think, I think what we saw during the regular season is Ole Miss, Alabama, South Carolina, and a bunch of other teams, by the way,
South Carolina just jumping in their lane.
Are capable of winning a game, maybe even two against top contenders, but they haven't been consistent enough. And again, it's hard to say hypothetically what is impossible or not, but realistically, I don't think it is likely at all that any of those teams, because they just didn't do it during the season. They didn't have that consistency week in and week out. Yeah, Ole Miss had a couple of days where it's like, wow, look out, this team looks fantastic. And then they had a couple of games where it's like, well, it's hard if you're an ebb and flow type of team to put together then 4 consistent weeks against, or 3 consistent weeks against 3 or 4 good, really good opponents. And so at the end of the day, I think we have the teams that should be in, and then, yes, we can debate. I don't know. Miami, should they be in? Alabama, should they be in? I don't know. At the end of the day, I don't think they're going very far anyway. So to some degree, it matters, but to some degree, it doesn't really, in terms of, all right, we wanted these playoffs to settle who's the national champion. I don't think any of those teams will be the national champion, whether they're in the playoff or not.
I have a weird suspicion it's going to come down to Ohio State, Alabama. And it's just like one of those things that, like, everything that went down this whole year, them losing a couple games each, running in, jumping out, falling out, going up, going down, and then everything said and done, they're going to be in the finals. It's just a weird theory, a weird feeling I have.
I mean, Ohio State's in. I don't. Bama, we'll see what happens.
So they're 11 right now, right, Bama? Nowhere to go down.
As far as a seed,
is anybody going to jump them?
Quite possibly.
So I would say if Clemson beats SMU, and then Clemson is automatic, then SMU will probably get in that large and bump Alabama. But I don't.
That's what you would think.
You'd think that.
Because and again, there's going to be some interesting things that will occur, because if we are true to our word with the committee,
it's college football. You know it is.
That we are not going to punish teams for being in the conference championship games. Well, then there's no way.
Oh, I got you.
SMU could drop behind Alabama. They're in front of them now. You're not punishing them for being in the championship game. One of the things, that scenario is very interesting. A lot of things that could play out there. Another one that I think is fascinating that has not gotten a lot of play is, what if UNLV beats Boise State in the Mountain West championship game? Boise State with a possible Heisman Trophy winner. I think very likely the runner-up. I think Travis Hunter is going to win the Heisman Trophy, and I do think Jenny's going to finish as the runner-up, the Boise State running back. But you have, again, we're supposedly not punishing teams for their conference championship games.
But I don't think Boise or UNLV gets that much dap as a non-Power 4. I don't think they get that much clout, personally.
Why?
That's how it works, I think. I mean, they're going to take care of the Power 4 over top of that, because I think that they gifted that non-Power 4.
Well, to what degree are you, quote-unquote, taking care of the Power 4?
If Boise State, with what, they have 1 loss?
Correct.
Okay. You think that they're scheduled? You think that they're better? I mean, this is what obviously the committee has to go through every week, and saying, okay, well, UNLV beats Boise. Boise State drops to what? Whatever, where they're at right now. I mean, how far do they drop out? You're saying, does Alabama jump in or stay in, because they're already in right now, over top of a 1-loss, or would be a 2-loss Boise State team then, correct?
Well, yes.
Okay.
So we are punishing teams for being in the conference championship.
Well, non-Power 4 conferences, maybe. How's that in my world? I don't think that they – now, we're talking like this, and I'm also in my head sitting there thinking, what are they looking for? They're looking for fans. That's the bottom line, is for them to make money. I don't think Miami travels well.
No,
Alabama.
that's not what they're looking at. They're looking at ratings. Yeah, the fans
ratings,
going
yes,
to the game.
I mean,
No,
this
is ratings. It's not about
fans and ratings. I mean, same thing. That's what I meant.
No, it's not the same thing. Boise will travel. Those fans are going to go. They're going to be so revved up and hyped. It's not about the fans going to the games. It's about eyeballs to the TV set. That's what it's about. If
Boise State is a home game, they're playing that Friday night game. I guarantee you that. But where is Indiana?
Well, Midwest. It's out
a little west of here. In the Corn Belt, right there.
Illinois.
Where are they at? They're in the top. They're in, right?
Yeah.
So, but they're not going to get a home game.
Big Ten has 4 teams in,
and they're not going to get a home game. They dropped it pretty damn far.
Unlikely.
As of right now, I saw it. It's Ohio State, Penn State, Notre Dame, and.
Well, yeah, right now, but right now means nothing because we have to.
I mean, this time last week, we knew everything was going to happen this week. I mean, there was no upsets at all this past weekend.
Exactly.
So let's get back to that. I mean, we got to talk about that because we didn't talk about it Tuesday. Did you, in a million years, think we'd be talking about playing in a Big Ten title game?
Yes. I mean, I was not expecting it, but I did say, again, I was not projected, but it's like it is a rivalry game, and there is a lot of pressure on Ohio State. Now, I thought they were the lead up to it. Ryan Day was saying the right things. It felt like they were handling the pressure right. He kept talking about opportunity, and I'm like, and I was buying into it, and I'm like, so. I mean, in a million years, did I think Michigan could beat them? Yes. Did I think it was going to happen? No, because first of all, Ohio State, much better team, much better season. But on top of that, it was all of the intangibles, right? Everything was favoring Ohio State. The fact that Michigan had won the previous 3 meetings, to me, favored Ohio State. All right, well, now this team has like real motivation to go out there. Michigan's playing for the opportunity to ruin things for Ohio State, but that's about it, really. Now, that's tremendous motivation in a rivalry game. I mean, remember the Pitt-Penn State game, and even if Penn State was having a bad season, it's like, if you beat Pitt, and especially if it ruined what was an otherwise good season for them, you had a certain satisfaction there at the end of the year. And makes no mistake, Michigan has a certain satisfaction despite all of the trials and tribulations this year. It helps that you win the national title the previous year. I think you're more forgiving as a fan base. Yeah, all right, we can have a down year. We just won a national title, and they have the big quarterback coming in next year and things. 1 year bump you're okay with, and even more okay with if you go out and take care of business against your rival, and they certainly did. But, Michigan's missing 2 of its studs, one on offense, one on defense. They defect, so you're wondering the impact on the locker room. And, everything.
Couldn't believe it.
Everything was favoring Ohio State going into that game. But as that game played out, and it's close, you could just see Ohio State, the fans were getting tight, the players were getting tight, the coaches were getting tight, and Michigan was out there having fun, playing loose. Man, so yes, I certainly did not expect it, certainly did not forecast it, anything like that. But I mean, we did say last week, it is a rivalry game, man, and you go back over the history of great rivalries, and there are games that you just can't explain, where one team beats the other, and it's like, well, that's. I mean, Auburn has beaten Alabama in years where it's like, what in the world? How did that just happen?
Michigan goaded them into that. I really am convinced of that. They kept on saying, Ryan Day's whole thing is, we're tough. And then Michigan played on that. Oh, well, we got to see how tough they are. We're going to see how tough they are. So Ohio State says, okay, we're going to run the ball down your throat. The best thing that Michigan does on defense is stop the freaking run.
Yep.
And they played right into Michigan's hands. And I had 1,000 people telling me, oh, Ohio State threw that game. And I've said this on the last 3 radio shows I've done. And if you, for 1 second, think a football player plays anywhere at any level, at any division, or any time of year, and plays to not win, You are absolutely insane crazy. Do not think that was the player's intent whatsoever. Or was it Ohio State's? I mean, I just can't believe how bad that turned out for them.
Yep.
I mean, bad. I mean, I got Ohio State friends. I'm literally checking in on them daily. Like, dude, you okay, man? You okay? I mean, we just flipped the positions is what we did.
Yep.
They're going to get a home game out of it. Had they won against Michigan, we were going to get a home game. So, we got to play another game. I don't know. I do have a couple questions for you financially. Do our players get is there bonuses involved or anything? I'm asking. I don't know. Is there a financial, it's just a bowl week?
For the Big Ten championship?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I don't know the answer.
Is this a bowl game considered? Because I know that Michigan got rings for the Big Ten title. They got 4 rings last year, the players.
Yeah.
So they played the Big Ten title. They won it. They won whatever. They won 2 games and they got a national title game. So I don't know. They got 4 rings. So I'm just sitting there I'm wondering, whatever. If our guys get any kind of compensation, we're not traveling anywhere. So I guess. Is there bowl money? Is there a bowl check or anything like that for these guys? But they're not going. They're not there already.
Not bowl. No, it wouldn't be bowl
week. So it's just a game then for them.
Well, I don't know if there's financial rewards for a Big Ten championship. I don't think there is from the conference.
You really think we'd have this conversation?
But whether or not there is from, that's actually a good question, and So I haven't seen anything, and I feel like we would have seen something. But
you and I are the same people in thinking these conference titles are useless. They really, truly are. So, because I go back, because even Landon and Doc were breaking my chops the other night, saying, "How did you guys not play in a Big Ten title game?" I said, "No, they didn't have that till the 2000s."
Yeah.
How the hell did you win the Big Ten? I was like, "Well, we won.
You won
we got all of our games, and they declared that we were the Rose Bowl representative. It worked for a lot of years, guys."
Well. But so a couple of things about that. One of the reasons it worked, right, was if you go back to even before Penn State joined the Big Ten, it's well, yeah, your Big Ten champion played all of the Big Ten teams and had the best record. Well, that's pretty clear cut. You don't need to play a Big Ten championship game. Now, you could for revenue and all that. But, I mean, if you one of the many things that has changed. And this is where, to go back to the discussion about who should be in, who shouldn't be in, how do you rate this? How do you compare Indiana and Penn State? Let's say, Penn State, the reason they're in has nothing to do with Penn State. No. The reason Indiana's not in has nothing to do with Indiana, the players and coaches and the way they played this season. It is because the teams at the Big Ten conference, that the conference, the head offices, that they put the schedule together, and Penn State's opponents happen to have a better
Big
record.
10 opponents had a better conference record.
Well, it really comes down to the 4 non-common opponents, because obviously the 5 have the same record. So you had 4 intra-conference opponents that were different on the 2 schedules, and Penn State's happened by the luck of the draw played a little better this season than Indiana's. And I don't have a better way, so this isn't a criticism. I can't believe the Big Ten decides it this way. When you have, and there's no way to make a parallel schedule because you don't know what these teams are going to do. You can try to match up, like we were talking about, if they get this Big Ten SEC football thing going, just like they did with basketball. They tried to match up programs and teams that were fairly comparable. Hey, we think this year that North Carolina and Michigan are both going to be contending for conference titles, so let's match them up and see what happens. But maybe Michigan gets a big injury. Maybe the big Michigan quarterback recruit decides, he has a change of heart after all. He is going to go. There are so many things that come into it. And again, sometimes it's just Florida State had high expectations this year. Okay, that didn't work out so well. if you were scheduling Indiana this year, you were not scheduling the Hoosiers with the idea that, man, we're going to be playing a playoff team. You were scheduling them because, you were hoping to get a W against a Power 4 program. So even, again, in the moment, sometimes the seasons play out the way you expect. Sometimes they don't. So how even within the conference, again, I don't know how you would compare, and now we'll get to see Oregon and Penn State play each other, and very likely twice, and I want to pick up on that in a moment too. But in terms of fairly comparing Alabama and Miami, I don't know. Like, Alabama, I think, has a better win in there. I think they have two significantly worse losses. Do I think the SEC is a better conference? Yes.
Do they think that they match the teams up and say, okay, what would happen if they went head-to-head?
I don't know, and if they do, that's a horrible way to do it, because how many games have we seen this season, Goon, where, if you match these teams up head-to-head, obviously Alabama beats Oklahoma. I mean, it's not close, dude.
Ohio State,
pay attention.
Ohio State kills Michigan.
Yes. That's a horrible way to do it. Like that might be the worst way to do it is, I think this is what would happen if these two teams met, because that's great that you think that.
I mean, I think the SEC they've always done this when it comes to their taking care of their programs. I mean, they have Missouri still in the top 20-25 because all those SEC teams need that top 25 victory, and they're in no way, shape, or form deserving of being in the top 25.
But again, I don't know what the right way or fair way to do it is. It's you got to take into account strength of schedule. Okay, but again, like in the Big Ten, Penn State, it wasn't like James Franklin went to the Big Ten office and said, hey, can we keep Oregon off the schedule this year? And it's looking like this Signetti worries me. We want Indiana off the schedule. I mean, that's not the way that played out. Penn State lucked into not playing Oregon and Indiana during the regular season. And in some ways, I would argue, got an unfortunate draw with Michigan going off of the schedule in the 1 year where you felt, at least, like, that probably would have been a good opportunity for Penn State to exact some revenge, or at least even the score a bit for the last 3 years. So I don't know how you do it, because, and like Texas, I mean, Texas is getting, in some ways, rightfully criticized that, hey, that is not a great schedule either. But I mean, they scheduled a game at Michigan. Like, that is a program that went out and tried to schedule a marquee victory or opportunity against a marquee conference. A great program, great tradition, all of it. And you're going to penalize them for, Michigan didn't have the year that we thought they were, save for the Ohio State game. So I don't know how you adequately compare a 3-loss Alabama team and a 2-loss Miami team. I have no idea. Fairly, I think there are compelling arguments that could be made either way. Would I lean toward Miami? I would this season, based on what we saw those two teams do throughout the season. But would I be terribly confident that Miami would beat Alabama head-to-head? Listen, I think with a lot of these teams, if you played 10 games, one or the other might win 5-5, might win 6-4, 7-3. What does it matter?
How do you project the top 5 197 wrestlers in the country in preseason?
Yeah, I mean, there you at least have the track record of seasons past. Like, you're having individual results and matchups. The difficulty, you can't do that with a team, because a bunch of guys left, a bunch of guys are coming in, sometimes different coaches.
How much do you think this goes back to the preseason rankings that they sort of still follow them? And I have been on the ilk for decades. They should not have a preseason or any kind of ranking system until 6 games in, 5 games in.
There's a lot of sentiment for that. That the preseason stuff doesn't bother me at all, because you can in theory at least, you can adjust it. It's like, oh, now that we've seen this team, well, now we know Florida State. Yeah, top 10, that was ridiculous. They shouldn't be in there. But okay, so you drop them out. We thought if you truly are starting over each week and it's like, all right, now let's take a look at the results we do have. Again, it draws fan interest. You're not going to be able to get rid you can get rid of whatever rankings you want, but if the Associated Press wants to take a poll of writers, they're certainly within their right. And if, folks, USA Today wants to, hey, coaches, would you submit what you think? But if you got rid of all of those, then you and I are going to sit here and make up our top 25. And, hey, what do you guys think about this going into the season? So you're going to have rankings. What I think is more significant, and, they play into one another, so you could argue it's the same thing, but it's the brand name. And there's a reason Florida State was in the top 10 at the start of the season, because partly what they had done last year, but also, man, it's Florida State. We think they're going to be up there. Alabama, we think they're going to be up there. Georgia, we think they're going to be up there. Ohio State. And you got a pretty good guess on most of those teams most years. Oh, shocker at the end of the year. But so, yes, they're benefiting from the high preseason ranking. But the reason, and this is where I think if you got rid of the rankings and somehow you lived in the world where nobody anywhere is doing any kind of a ranking, guess what? 5 weeks in, we're going to look at Alabama and, oh, man, they beat Georgia. We know Georgia. Now, those are two of the best teams in the country every year. So you're going to end up in the exact same spot because the brand name is still a big deal. Alabama, Ohio State, to a lesser degree, but still a significant degree, Penn State, Tennessee, these programs get the benefit of the doubt because they have big national followings. They have histories of success, the whole bit. And so in Indiana doesn't get the benefit of the doubt. An ACC and a Big 12. I'm telling you, Iowa State, I know they have the 2 losses. When they have been on, that is a really good football team. That is a dangerous football team. I think Arizona State is a really good, dangerous football team. I think both of those teams, if given the opportunity, could make some noise in the playoffs. Now, do I think either Iowa State or Arizona State could go on a 3 or 4 game run against the other top teams in the country and win the national title? I don't. But again, to some degree, what does it matter what I think or what other experts think? You want to see these games played out on the field, and we're going to get a lot of opportunity to see a lot of those games. And I think to a large degree it will play itself out. The battle between Alabama and Miami and whether Alabama deserves that one spot higher or not, again, wherever we draw the line, we're going to have those debates. I personally think Miami probably should be in. I think neither of those teams are going to be in the Final Four, let alone win the national title. So in terms of what we're trying, the objective of the playoffs, again, it matters for those programs. It matters for the resumes of the programs. So I'm not saying it's not insignificant. It is a big deal. It's just like in the NFL, whether or not you're going to contend for a Super Bowl, do you want to be in the playoffs if you're the Atlanta Falcons or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Yes, of course you do. Do I think either of those teams, if they do get in, are going to end up in the Super Bowl? No, and I think we'll see that play out. But you still want to be recognized as one of those teams. So it's a big deal as far as it goes. But in terms of the objective, again, of getting to the 12-team playoffs, that objective is going to be met. We're going to get the team or teams that are deserving of making a push for the national title. They are all going to be there. Miami and Alabama are not those teams. Not this year.
Alabama, in my world, 3 times over top of Miami. I just do not see Miami. I do not like Miami. I don't think Miami is it. They play in the ACC, which is a crap conference. They struggled, had a couple losses late, and this and that. I just, I'm an Alabama guy a little bit, so I don't have a problem with Alabama. I mean, again, they do have the name and they have the history, and they've earned that in the last 15 years. But
Yeah, this
I don't
year's
see
team
them in the
has it.
Final
This
Four.
is supposed to be
I
about
know.
this year.
I know, but look at the NCAA basketball tournament. You always have those teams like North Carolina. How are they getting in with a 500 type of record? And they're always on. Michigan State gets in because of they're a blue blood. And I mean, you mentioned Tennessee before, by the way. I think that we're in the same boat as Tennessee.
Yeah,
one of those great, huge followings and great fans and this and that, but we haven't won a title in 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
And that's crazy to think about, but yeah. Ours is 86 and theirs is 98, 9, something like that.
Somewhere in there.
Somewhere in there.
We'll take a break here. We're back with more. It's the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. We are back at our home away from home at Quaker Steak and Lube, and we're coming right back after this.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates, Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox. The Goon and Ironhead.
We are back here on this Thursday afternoon, a couple of days ahead of the Big Ten football championship game at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, Penn State and Oregon. Again, Saturday night, a little after 8 o'clock, they'll kick it off. We'll have live coverage of that game for you here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox, starting at 7:45. Also, a quick note that the originally scheduled high school opener for our winter sports coverage here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox will not occur tonight. We had Bellefonte at Bald Eagle area on the schedule. That match has been postponed until tomorrow at 6 o'clock due to other commitments from the individuals involved in the broadcast. We're going to forego that meet tomorrow, so we'll get underway with our high school coverage, starting with a girls basketball game on Monday.
You're down in Lehigh this week, right?
With the Allentown. Yep, they'll wrestle. Penn State and Lehigh will wrestle Sunday afternoon at 2 in Allentown at the PPL Center, which that'll be a neat opportunity as well. Couple of things before we get back to football. Nittany Lion basketball back in action tonight.
Big game.
Pretty big one. Purdue, ranked 8th in the country, coming in for the 6:30 tip-off at the Bryce Jordan Center. And we've been talking a little bit about the pressure versus opportunity type of thing. This is just an opportunity for Penn State, and what an opportunity it is. A win here tonight, a loss is really of little consequence, especially if it's a competitive loss. But a win here tonight for Penn State electrifies the fan base.
Correct.
I think brings a different swagger to that Penn State locker room, and I think changes pretty immediately the thoughts of what this season can be for the Nittany Lions. And I think there's some pretty high aspirations as it is, but a win tonight just really, again, Goon, sets things up beautifully for this team. And again, it's one of those, I think there's little consequence to a loss. I mean, I guess if they get run out of the gym, it's going to be a bad look at home. But a loss here is, it's like, well, yeah, you're playing the 8th ranked team. And if it's a good game within 10 points, I think you just pick up good learning experience right out of the gate, and you feel like you're right where you want to be still. But boy, what an opportunity with a win tonight.
It is. And what do you think the line is? Have you even looked at it?
I have not. I would get, at home, I'm going to say, I'll say 6.
Penn State is -1.5.
Really?
And it opened up like that, and it stayed like that. And I'm really trying to rationalize.
Well, so
I know that they lost their the 7'5" guy.
Yeah.
Not the guy from last year, the new one, the replacement. He's out for the year.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, to me, the key, that's interesting. I would not have, I would have.
As soon as I saw it the other day, what is this?
That.
And I just double checked it to make sure there wasn't any.
Although the offensive numbers and the steals, I mean, Penn State's like top 10 in scoring, field goal percentage, steals, and like top 5 in field goal percentage and scoring. So, I mean, I guess maybe I should be that shot at home.
Yeah. I am.
And Purdue is good. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely surprised. I'm thinking it through a little more, and it's like, well, yeah, I mean, it's not preposterous, certainly, that the Penn State can win this game. I am surprised that they're actually favored going into it. One of the keys, I think, tonight is keeping Niederhauser out of significant foul trouble. They need him. Well, need is probably overstated. You really would like to have him on the court for the majority of this game. And I think we're going to get a real sense here tonight of what adjustments he has made or still needs to make. Because, listen, the Big Ten teams, like, part of the game plan when you're playing Penn State, let's get this guy in foul trouble, get him off the court. And, he's shown a propensity for that early on, which, again, it's early on. That's in and of itself isn't horribly troubling, but they need to get him to the point where, all right, he knows how to play to keep himself out of foul trouble most nights and again, utilize his skills on both ends of the court. Because he is a difference maker. I mean, there's no question about that for Penn State. And as he gets more and more comfortable and gains more and more understanding of what it is he can do within this system and the opportunities that are there, again, look out. But he's got to stay on the court and be a factor for the entire game.
Yeah.
But I'm excited to see.
What a great window into how the season is going to be, in my opinion.
Yep. And how teams are going to play him.
I think that Mike's the real deal, man. He has this team. We're not even 10 games into the season in his second year, and we're pushing top 25 in my opinion.
Oh, I mean, for sure. They win tonight. They're
somebody knows something that they're a 1.5 point favorite over the 8th team in the country. I can't believe it, and that is a testament to Mike and his staff and what they've done, making it's a tough place to play. I mean, it's going to be not a full environment. I mean, west of here is getting blasted with snow, so we're not getting much Western PA people coming in tonight for this game. Probably get one of these low attended games, and that might work against Purdue. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, winning on the road is tough in the Big Ten. Period. It's just, again, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but it's just such an opportunity to cash in on kind of that good vibe that is surrounding the program. And again, it's not that a loss destroys it or anything. It's the 8th ranked team. It's been the standard bearer last couple of years in the Big Ten. So it's not a devastating loss if they do get the L. It's just if they get the win, man, it just feels like you really have the wind at your back here as you
quad one
delve
win.
Into.
Yeah, that is what you're looking
with
at.
An exclamation.
Yeah, you're looking at like top tier wins, and you need that at the end of the year. I like the team, dude. I really do. I think they love the big man in the middle. They play great defense. They're physical. I mean, they're playing the game that I like to watch play. Like a team that I like to watch.
Yep.
A tough defensive team, but they press the offense, man. They push it. Like a Crispin's like their offensive coordinator, and Rhodes is their DC. I mean, it's almost like that's what they're trying to. Oh, wait a minute, that's what they are trying to do.
Well, and they create. Yes, I think they create their own energy, but they then, as you said, it's just an entertaining. It's not just that they're winning; it's that they're winning with a style of basketball that is very appealing for the fans and is very difficult for opponents to prepare for because it's not your typical college basketball style. So this isn't something that teams are seeing week in and week out throughout the course of the season. Certainly not Big Ten teams. And so I do think it's going to be interesting to see how this carries throughout the season.
I know we're getting weather out west. I mean, how far was West Lafayette snowed in yesterday? When did they get in here yesterday? Could they not fly in from there? I don't know where this weather even came from, to be honest with you. That little storm we had this morning, I didn't know that was coming.
Oh, yeah.
Did you?
Well, yes. I listened to Joe Bastardi on 98.7 The Fox on Monday mornings. He was letting us know, hey, look out.
A little one coming
Wednesday night into Thursday. Be careful.
Really? Okay.
And, oh, yeah. So we were
I thought that was coming west. I didn't know we were going to get a little bit of it. We got a very tinge of it, but so honest to God, dude, I got to ask you.
On the roads, it was more than that.
If this is the weather December 21st, what are you tailgating?
Well, I won't be because I'll be in Nashville. But if I had the opportunity, of course,
we'll call Kale and get you out of that.
After Saturday's game, yes, we if you were tailgating Saturday, you're tailgating in December.
I did not.
As far as the Penn State Oregon game, you were talking about the relative meaninglessness of these conference championship games. I think in some ways, and listen, I I think every coach and every player is putting everything they can into this, and they're going to go out and try to win.
Yeah.
But here is the thing. I would argue maybe even more so because of the circumstances this year. This game truly, like, it's almost like the champion is being set up for a trap come playoff time. And in a couple of regards. Now, we have to wait and see. The projections, a lot of people are getting caught up in those projections and, this is what's going to happen. Let's wait and see. Again, what if UNLV beats Boise State? What if SMU loses to Clemson? What if both Georgia and Penn State win? There are so many different scenarios that could possibly play out here. And so, let's just see how it plays out. But very likely, the Big Ten championship game will play itself out again in just a few weeks' time. And I'll use the comparison, and there are plenty of examples over the years where a team has beaten another team, they meet again, and the team that won the first time wins again. So I get it. This isn't foolproof by any stretch. But I'm telling you, Goon, when you lose a game like this to a team, whoever loses this game, there's extra incentive now the next time, and it's the playoffs. You have a chance to go win a national title. I don't know that you need extra incentive, but you now know the opponent, right? And that works both ways. Again, both teams are going to have an in-person scouting report now on their opponent. But if they meet again, right, the team that loses knows the adjustments it needs to make. The team that wins, it's more difficult to. Now, I'm not saying, again, both these coaching staffs and these teams, all right, we can't do the exact same thing. Yeah. And
we have to change how we play because it didn't work last time. And the team that won's going to say, well, we know how to beat them.
Yeah,
and
Ohio State's going to make some
we
changes.
Need to shut Warren down.
Yeah, they're going to make some changes. The winning team will
Correct.
as well. But there's going to be that sense of urgency more so on the team that loses. I just think it's an interesting dynamic. And again, I know it's not a certainty that they'll meet, but it's in all likelihood, the loser of this game is going to be the 5 seed in the playoffs. And that 5 seed, as it projects right now, would face obviously the 12 seed, which right now would look to be the winner of the Iowa State-Arizona State game. And especially if it's Arizona State, coming into Beaver Stadium in December, again, not saying it's a given, not saying that you write it up as an automatic W, but boy, you like Penn State's chances at home against either of those teams. And then
I gotta show you this.
You have right now it would project as Boise State. And let's just say if Boise State does win, again, not an easy task. And certainly Boise State's, like, Gentie's running game, that travels well. So that is a concern for sure. But do I like Penn State's chances against Boise State, say, versus an Oregon, if it wins the game, having to face potentially a Georgia or a Tennessee? And again, I'm not getting too caught up on those scenarios because a lot of things can still happen here. But yeah, I think that's a better path to get to that rematch than the number 1 seed would have.
Josh Pate with College Football Insider. He projected from the FDS Sportsbook from Las Vegas. He said, I would like to ask them to do hypothetical lines. So Arizona State at Penn State. Penn State would be minus 11.5. Alabama at Notre Dame, Irish by minus 3.5. Indiana at Georgia, Georgia minus 12.5. Tennessee at OSU, Ohio State minus 9. Huh.
Yeah.
They're all, again, these are, if that happens, that'd be a miracle. I mean, I still want to go back to my text I sent you guys 3 weeks ago because that's already blown up the hell of who I thought the playoffs were, how it was going to work out. My projections were, but yeah, I mean, I'm okay. I mean, yeah, we got to play Arizona State, and again, this is a conversation we have 5 days from now, and it's gonna be, we're going to know exactly when we play, who we play. I do know this: if we win this week, we play in the Rose Bowl. on January 1st. That's a guarantee. So let's just go try and do that. I mean, that's the ultimate goal is, I had Nick Dawkins on the television show on Monday night, and we were talking, and it was just like, last time he was on our show, we talked about, you guys lost that one of the rings of your, this season, the goal was win the Big Ten title. Go undefeated, Big Ten title, get in the playoffs, win the playoffs, win the national title. That's the 4 goals of any team when I played anybody.
Yep.
So a month ago after Ohio State, the Big Ten was not there. And he was like, well, but we still have a big future ahead of us with the playoffs and stuff like that. And now the Big Ten is back in play for us out of, a godsend. I really liked this team this week. And I know we're going to talk more about the game and stuff like that, but I just really have that feeling that this team is just like going to let it roll and let it flow out there. I think that they learned at the Ohio State game, they can't play tight. They can't play this like perfect game all the time. So just go out there and have fun and roll it out there and get it done. I think that these guys are like that. The team is willing to do that, and that's the plan right now, to go out and have fun. And then watch that Maryland game. It looked like they look like they were having fun. The Minnesota team, by the way, the game 2 weeks ago that everybody's saying we struggled with this, and I thought that was Minnesota's that was a great effort on their part. I mean, that was the same weekend of all those upsets around the league, around the whole country.
Yeah.
And then, we get away with by a 1-point victory, and people are like shaming us. And it's like, dude, 4 top 10 teams lost to unranked teams. So I felt pretty good about it. So, team wise, they're jacked. They're some of their goals are now attainable again, and it's a whole second life.
And this is the thing. So I think no matter what happens on Saturday night, you are able to easily spin it, whether you're Oregon or Penn State, to, all right, this is good for us, right? If you win it from Penn State, well, let's start with Oregon. If Oregon wins it, obviously, hey, good. We're still the number 1 team, undefeated. Nobody's able to beat us. Obviously, that is all good. We get to go to the Rose Bowl. We're comfortable there. That's always been a goal for this program. This is nothing new. So all of that is clearly good news. If Oregon loses this game, from the Oregon perspective, I think what Dan Lanning says in the locker room, all right, guys, the pressure of the undefeated season, that's off of our shoulders. This is good news. We got that out of the way. Now we know, the little adjustments, they're not better than us. They got us tonight, but give me a break. We're the national championship team. We got that out of the way. Pressure of the undefeated season is off. Now let's go to work. We get to welcome whoever the 12 seed is. They'll know it. Pretty good idea anyway at that point. Yep. All right, we're going to welcome that team in. They get to come to, or we get to play them in our house. We get to welcome them in. What an opportunity here, guys. We get to host one of the first playoff games in this 12-team format in college football history. We win that. We get another opportunity at these guys if we take care of business against Boise State or whoever. So it's easily spun to, man, this is all good. We're in great shape here. We're fine. From Penn State's perspective, you lose this game, right? It's like, guys, we're
right back to where we were last week.
And maybe even in better position. Instead of a 6 seed, we're a 5 seed. And even if they get up to 6, same thing. Right? Either way, we're in either better position or exactly where we thought we would be going into the Maryland game. But now we have the in-person scouting report on the team that everybody agrees it has to be beat, and depending on how it plays out, presuming it's a competitive game. So, all right, and we know we're a play or 2 away. Let's get some things cleaned up, get healthy. Here we go. If you win the game, if you're Penn State, right, again, it's, hey, guys, I don't know if you noticed, but we just won a big game. That's the knock against our program is we can't do it. Well, no, we did, and now we are the top dog. I think in all likelihood, Penn State will be the 1 seed regardless of what happens in that Texas-Georgia game if Penn State wins this. And then, again, you've changed the narrative. Now, the downside on that, and this is what I just think is a fascinating discussion going into this. And again, you want to win if you're any kind of a competitor, and I think if you're any kind of a fan, you want to win anything that's in front of you. So do you want to win the Big Ten championship? Yep. And do you want to then win the next 3 games and be the national champion? Of course. So go win everything. That's always the goal. But as we've talked about with the wrestling program, nobody's exactly sitting around sulking because there were 3 years where we didn't win the Big Ten championship, and we had that as a goal because we wanted to win that and the national title. Like, nobody sits around sulking about it because you went out and won the national title. This is the thing that I think is just an interesting dynamic here. And again, the hope is you just go out and win everything, and then none of this is a discussion. But hypothetically, and because it's what we do, we can have fun with these discussions. Much worse, see if you agree with me. I don't think there's any question. I think losing the Big Ten championship game and then winning a playoff game at Beaver Stadium, that is a much better scenario for Penn State than winning the Big Ten championship. You're still in the quarterfinals either way, and then losing in the quarterfinal round as, at worst, a 2 seed, likely the number 1 seed. Now that perception, because Penn State has always been the team, we're trying to get there. They're the Avis, trying harder. Now you go in as now that perception that you just changed, we win the big games. We haven't lost as a favorite for the last 3 years, no matter what team that is. Georgia, even if it's Georgia or Tennessee or whoever, you're playing them in the Rose Bowl as the number 1 seed. That's a pretty devastating loss from a program image standpoint, from a fan base standpoint. It's like, okay, we won the Big Ten title. We got the 1 seed, and now we're out.
Let's get one of them
in the next game.
Let's get one of them ahead.
Right? Like that is, but that would be.
Well, they lose the Big Ten and they lose the first round. That's a horrible year. Right? Lose the Big Ten and then lose in the first round. That would be a horrible.
Well, yes, if you turn around and lose at Beaver Stadium.
That's 6 months of sitting there thinking, like, wow, we really aren't going to.
That would be a disastrous end to the season. But
correct.
Winning and being the Big Ten champion, the very perception that you change and winning the Big Ten, I think gets thrown right back on you right away if you lose in that quarterfinal round. Whereas, again, if you lose this game, I mean, there's going to be some griping. You still can't win the big one, but you're the underdog. Nobody's beaten Oregon. They're the only undefeated team. Like, I don't think that's. I don't perceive that as in the same category as the consistent losses to Ohio State. This isn't a team that has had your number. It's a team that this year has had everybody's number. And then again, if you turn around, you get into the quarterfinals. I think it's interesting to think about it as Penn State is a 1 seed then, and even if you win that quarterfinal game and get to the semifinals, again, if you're the 1 seed and you're the Big Ten champion, and let's say it's that rematch with Oregon, and now Oregon beats you, I don't know. It's a very hollow Big Ten championship feel at the end of the day. And by the way, you could say the same thing with Oregon. I mean, it's the same scenarios play out. I think it's an interesting dynamic, and it's why we have to get rid of the Big Ten and all of these conference championship games. It's just a lousy way to go about.
I mean, it's got to be money. It has to be. There's no really reason for them.
Right, but there's going to be more money involved if you go to a 16-team.
Oh yeah, but there was definitely. There was definitely television contracts involved, and that's
sure.
what they're playing those out, and then they'll change the playoff system.
Yeah, that's
in our opinion. We've been saying that for a year and a half now.
Well, yeah, no.
Jeff, the sun is out. I don't know what that orb in the sky is.
A beautiful thing to see. We're coming right back with more on the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here from Quaker Steak and Lube on this Thursday.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things. Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
WFXX, once again. The Fox, your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA's Sports Authority, WFXS America. 98.7, The Fox, State College, the Goon and Ironhead.
And we are back here on this Thursday afternoon ahead of the Big Ten Championship game, which again you can hear right here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. Saturday night we'll have live coverage starting at 7:45 after our coverage of the SEC Championship game with Texas and Georgia. Squaring off 3:30, we'll begin our coverage there with kickoff for that game a little after 4 o'clock. Of course, kickoff in the Big Ten Championship game will be a little after 8 o'clock on Saturday night. Also, a quick programming note, the originally scheduled wrestling match tonight with Bellefonte at Bald Eagle area has been postponed. We were going to have live coverage of that starting at 7 tonight. We will not, because that match is postponed until tomorrow due to some other obligations that had already been agreed to. We unfortunately won't have coverage of that match tomorrow night, but we will have plenty of high school wrestling as well as boys and girls basketball and girls wrestling coming up for you throughout the season, starting Monday now on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. But again, no Bellefonte at Bald Eagle area wrestling tonight. That match will be again at 6 o'clock tomorrow night in Wingate. But again, we won't have coverage for you of it here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox.
But you got the Lions Pack, right?
Yep, we will have complete coverage now of the Lions and Packers tonight, the NFL Thursday night game. So Again, we'll have Jed Donahue and the Pennsylvania Sports Network following the Goon and Ironhead show here when we wrap up at 4 o'clock. And then from 6 to 7:30, it'll be Fox Sports. And then at 7:30, we will join coverage of the Packers and the Lions. Big one tonight in the NFC. And we'll see. The Lions have felt for a while almost like they're a team of destiny. But Goon, how many times have we seen teams have a great half or even 3/4 of a season? We talk about it a lot, and it's really that stretch run, and then obviously the health and just how you play and match up in the playoffs. The Chiefs keep winning, and people keep, well, yeah, but it's not looking like the Chiefs of old, and they're not. But once we get closer to playoff time, let's rev it up. Yep, let's see what happens.
They did that last year.
I agree. The Bills and the Eagles right now look like the teams, and the Lions and the Chiefs are right there certainly as well. But I wouldn't rule out some of these other teams. Yes, including my beloved Steelers, if they keep getting better, if that offense keeps figuring some things out, if they can clean up the nonsense from Pickens and the penalties from Porter, big ifs, I will grant you, but man, I'm not sure that isn't a team that could make a Super Bowl run. So let's just see how it all plays out. Anyways, complete NFL coverage now tonight starting at 7:30.
Looking at Detroit last week, I mean, I still I'm baffled by what the Bears were doing in the last 33 seconds of that game.
Inexplicable.
But they should not have even had a chance in that game.
Yeah.
The Chiefs have literally been pulled out by referees and blocked field goals and bad opposing decisions and stuff like that.
Yep.
So, I'm looking at the Eagles last year. The Eagles were, 9-1 last year at one point, and we were like, oh, man, this is one of the best teams. They're absolutely playing great. And then they absolutely stunk the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So, it is a long season. They're getting through it. And we're talking about, the college football and everybody's going to be patient and stuff like that. You don't hear about matchups in the NFL until about the last 2 weeks of the season. And that's the way college football is going to become eventually.
Yes.
It's great that we could talk about it and everything that's going on, but please tell me a time in college football history where there's been more excitement this long about the football season than about upcoming games and future bowl games and future playoff games. I mean, my buddy Chris and I were talking last week at the tailgate. We were talking how many teams have had to send emails out to their fans saying, hey, this is how the tickets are going to work. 20, 25? As of last week, it was about 25, but then a lot of teams got knocked down a few pegs and they're out of the equation. But I'm sorry, but is Texas A&M, are they sending their fans information about a bowl game, about a playoff game?
Not a playoff game, now a bowl game.
Not bowl game now, but before last Saturday, they had to have gotten that stuff out to them. I mean, think about all the activity that all these athletic departments had to do: ticketed offices, parking, food, getting everything ready. I mean, Penn State's obviously got to be, if we're going to have a home game, is it winterized? It's never been done here before. There's a lot of stuff that's going into all of this, and we have been talking about this playoff for 6 months now, and it's still there. Usually about this time of year, there's only about 6 teams or 8 teams that are actually still available. There's 15 to 20 teams that are still available to go to the playoffs right now. It's great. I've never seen a more excitable weekend coming up right now, Championship Saturday, then last week, Rivalry Saturday, and it has been an absolutely fun season to be part of and to watch and to be included in, and obviously we're doing well in it. This has been a absolutely fantastic year and time for college football fans.
Yeah,
none like I've ever seen.
No, and it is. It's. I mean, it's good for the sport as a whole. It's good for the fan bases. It's good for the teams and different programs, and the fact that you have a UNLV that is sitting here.
I'm not gonna lie to you,
getting ready for the opportunity.
I'm telling you right now,
to play
this
for a
past
playoff
week
spot
was the first time I really heard UNLV's name come up.
I understand, but
Crazy.
they can play themselves into a playoff. I mean, what an opportunity.
And then, their coaches have been hammering those kids about that. Hey, we still have an opportunity. We still have it.
What an
3 weeks ago. 3
Yep.
weeks ago, they were sitting there. No one was talking about it. Hey, the coaches are getting their kids involved. We still got an opportunity. We still got a chance. And let's do it.
Yeah.
Great fun year, man. By the way, Guilfoyle's running away from it right now for the state title over Port Allegheny. Way to go, Wheels.
Yeah, Bishop Guilfoyle up 41-14 as we're watching here, under 4 minutes remaining in the game. So BG is going to win the single A state championship here in Pennsylvania for 2024. All right, you talked about matchups. So let's talk about this Penn State-Oregon matchup because I do think it's really – there's a lot of intriguing things to watch. And again, what to me adds to the intrigue of this game is the possibility, and I'll say from my perspective, I think it is the likelihood that these two teams will meet again in the semifinals, that they'll meet again in the Final Four of the college football playoffs. And that, again, adds to me another level of intrigue about this game and the matchups and how it all plays out and what we see transpire. And again, I get no guarantee that either team gets to the Final Four. So let me put this together in my head. Regardless. Yep.
You're saying Penn State beats Oregon. Or Oregon, just say the winner of this game.
Yep.
Will go to the Rose Bowl. And you're saying it'll be a rematch of Penn State Oregon because whoever loses this game right now would play Arizona State, and they would both walk over them, and then they would be. So you think that's how that's going to go?
Yeah, not in the Rose Bowl, obviously, but that they would meet in the semifinals in the Final
after
Four.
the Rose Bowl.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. I think that's again. They both would have to take care of business.
The final two games, definitely the final two games. I know one is the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah. So. And again, not a guarantee. The winner is going to have to get by the 8 or the 9 seed, which I don't think is a given. And obviously the 5 seed would have to win at home, presuming they are the 5 seed, and I am presuming that, against likely either Iowa State or Arizona State. Again, UNLV could throw a curveball into that whole thing.
What would you want?
And UNLV could end up being the opponent there. Which would be, I think, like if you ask pretty much any fan in terms of, hey, I want my team to advance, would you rather face Arizona State or Iowa State or UNLV? Yeah, we'll take our chances with UNLV. Thanks. Let's have the running Rebs come into Beaver Stadium for a matchup in December. I don't think that's real likely, but again, I didn't think it was very likely that Michigan was going to beat Ohio State or that Oklahoma was going to thump Alabama or this or that. Or so let's just see how it plays out. But yeah, I think it's I would label it as likely. At the very least, it's possible that this Big Ten championship game we'll see that same matchup again in just a few weeks' time.
Would you?
And again, to me, that adds to the intrigue of, all right, what do we see here, and what adjustments do we think either team can make to get a leg up on the losing side, or even on the winning side to try to reaffirm the victory that occurs here Saturday night. I think that makes it all the more.
We should have a radio talk show.
Reason
that we have like 4 hours
watch
a week
these matchups.
There's so much to talk about.
So going in, I think nationally most people are giving Oregon the edge at quarterback, and I don't think it's a lot. Like I think everybody acknowledges this is a good quarterback matchup, but I think they're looking at the numbers and it's yardage and all of that. I'm telling you, I think where Oregon has the advantage on paper in terms of looking at it offense versus offense is not so much a quarterback as it is receiver.
Yeah, but that's night and day.
But I don't know that it is, because the one thing Oregon, like historically, we think of Oregon as kind of that explosive team. That is not what they've been. They're not. Those receivers are not the big play, or haven't been. I mean, that's not how they've been making their hay this year. It's not by man that they're just those 70-yard touchdown passes are coming in bunches. That's not how they're winning games. They're pounding it. Their possession. It's a lot of possession passing game. Short yardage, timing, and then that running game and their offensive line is good, really good. And I think, in terms of the head-to-head matchups, that Penn State defensive line, which has been very good, Abdul Carter, Defensive Player of the Year in the Big Ten. How do the defensive tackles, which I think, you feel good about the starters there. That depth has taken a bit of a hit between injury and departures here in the last month. So I think that's going to be a key is Penn State holding its own in the middle there and getting some pressure when Gabriel does go to throw, getting some pressure on him and making him uncomfortable in the pocket. I think the most concerning matchup going into this game is Penn State's offensive line, which has been good, but without Donko, I think Nolan Rucci and J.B. Nelson have the work cut out for them here against Oregon. Again, this is a team that had a ton of sacks.
10.
Yes.
10 versus Washington.
10 versus ton. And while Penn State's offensive line has been good, I don't know that they've seen, even with Ohio State, a defensive line that quite gets after it with the rush the way Oregon does. And what you need in this game, if you're Penn State, is receivers that are seeing what's happening, making the quick adjustments, and can make the routine catches. Because I think Aller will make the right reads, and man, all right, even if the offensive line is having some trouble, I think he'll get rid of it quickly enough. That's fine if your receivers make the plays. And I think they're going to need the receivers. I don't think Oregon's going to completely take Tyler Warren out of the game, but they're doing everything they can to limit his impact. I think he'll still have some impact, but you have to have and yep, they can throw to the running backs and all of that, and they will. You have to have the receivers come up with consistently good and occasionally great big-time plays, I think, for Penn State to win this game.
Sure. I mean, again, it's going to come down to what our strength is, and that's our run game and our tight end play. How crazy does Kotelnicki get with Warren getting him the ball? Because I don't think he was a real factor in the Ohio State game.
He wasn't,
and that's not on him. They're going to put two guys on him. Somebody else has to step up. So, Oregon is going to run the same thing that Ohio State did, I'm sure, and that's try to get pressure with the 4, try to double up on Warren, and we have to make plays on the outside from our wide receivers. Whether that's blocking on run plays or getting open and making some catches and loosening up the defense a little bit where they can get Warren the ball a little bit, the most dynamic player on our offense. So do we have enough? Can our offensive line hold up against their very good defensive line, getting pressure on the quarterback? Can our receivers get open? Can Warren get open? Can we have a run game? There are a lot of the questions going into this game, and if we can do 2 of those 4, I think we'll be okay.
Yep.
But, what Oregon's looking at. They're looking at that game, and, Tom Allen sitting there watching that Oregon team and trying to figure out how he's going to slow them down.
Yep.
Because you're right. It's not a pass-heavy offense. I mean, they think that Dylan, is that his name?
Yeah, Gabriel. Yep.
Yeah. They think that he's going to be, lead them, but they have a hell of a run game and a hell of an offensive line. So, surprisingly, Jeff, I'm going to say it comes down to our line play.
Yeah.
Offensive and defensive line front-wise. Can we contain and protect Drew Aller, and can we get a pressure on Gabriel?
Well, and this is so one of the things that I think we're going to find out Saturday night is what type of lessons / adjustments Penn State learned and made following the Ohio State game. That we saw, I think, the emphasis rightfully and encouragingly so coming off of the Ohio State game in those last 4 games where, man, we're going to be a physical football team, and that's fine, and I think they were. Can you be a physical football team against a big-time physical football team? It's great that you're out and physical in the Final Four of the regular season. None of those teams matched up physically anywhere near what this team is going to see with Oregon on Saturday night. I think, again, you can only do what you can do with the schedule you have. I think we're going to find out, all right, did they make the strides they needed to since Ohio State to take that next step as a team, as a program? And again, to me, it wasn't so much, it's not like Ohio State went out and dominated them physically for 4 quarters. It's when it came crunch time and you needed to get a couple of yards to get into the end zone to give yourself a chance to win, Ohio State said nope, and Penn State couldn't do it. And when Penn State needed to stop Ohio State, and Ohio State, everybody in the building knew was going to run the ball, Penn State couldn't stop them. So, like, Penn State might match up physically for 3 quarters, 3.5 quarters, and you're still not, as a Penn State fan, I think, going to be comfortable until, all right, let's see how this thing finishes. When you need a yard, can you get a yard? When you need to stop the other team and get the ball back, can you, again, in crunch time? And again, make no mistake, this is a really good, really physical team that Oregon is bringing. So it's
crazy
not,
to think about that.
Yes.
Jeff, we haven't talked about real quick. I want to, please, we're on that point right now. Oregon wins. They win the Big Ten in their first year. Texas wins. They win the SEC. Arizona State wins. They win the Big 12. All first-year teams.
SMU
wins the ACC.
Yes.
I mean, I think it was the Texas Tech coach who was going ballistic on this. And he goes, we need to stop holding these Super 2 conferences up to all of this because their conferences come in and get other teams from other conferences come in and win their league in the first year. And I was like, damn, he's making a point. He's really making a point.
Well, and if Arizona State and Oregon both win, right, what does that say for the formerly maligned and disparaged?
There you go, Pac-12.
And virtually non-existent Pac-12. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting little storylines for sure going on with all of these conferences and all of these championship games. And it is just adding to the fun and the fuel for discussion. Congratulations, by the way, to Bishop Guilfoyle. Marauders, it is now final. It is all over in Cumberland Valley as Bishop Guilfoyle does win the single-A championship, beating Port Allegheny today for the title. All right, we're going to take a break here. We're back with a final half hour or so of the program, and then we turn it over to Jed Donahue and the Pennsylvania Sports Network. You are listening to the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorrento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing and State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
Get up and get going with the Happy Valleys 98.7 The Fox, the Goon and Ironhead.
And we are back here on this Thursday afternoon. Again, Big Ten Championship weekend. And yep, your Nittany Lions are in that game. Penn State and Oregon, first time in 30 years that these two programs have met, Goon.
I don't remember that one.
Yeah, very few do, I think.
I have not seen actually one bit of that game in my lifetime. Actually funny, I got a great story for you. Goon story time.
Yes, let's do it.
So my offensive line guys that I coached down in Division III down in Richmond, on Friday afternoons, it was called Rose Bowl Fridays. And when all the skinny guys were out running around doing their walkthrough, doing routes, all the offensive line would just be sitting in the squad room with the big television on watching my Rose Bowl, because I was like, we don't know by now, boys, we're not going to be all right tomorrow. So we'd watch a couple series of the Rose. We get a quarter in of the Rose Bowl every week, and these guys, they knew every play that was on it and everything that happened. It was hilarious. So we'd all put a dip in and watch all the skinny guys outside running around, and we were just sitting there watching our football game, the Rose Bowl. Yeah, so you've been obviously have seen the Twitter going off the last time these two guys played, the whole opening play of the game. Just so much goes into that whole week was just insane that people they don't even know, like Tangwell, like those guys. I mean, I know he was born in 2001. I think he's post 9/11 actually. Like how much they don't know of how it used to be collegiately. Like, and the easiest way I could describe to him, I said, just think that every sport that the NCAA has, Division I, II, III, 1AA, NAIA, NAIA, junior college, every sport has a playoff, except for literally the number one most lucrative sport that the NCAA had never had a playoff. And they just can't understand it. And I'm like, dude, I don't understand it either. Trust me. I went through it. We couldn't understand
we were
it
living through it. It made no sense.
You say Alan says it's money. Of course we know it's money, but who?
But the money would have been there.
That money?
That's the whole.
And I have a theory.
Yeah.
And that is a lot of these bowl people in the Rose Bowl, people in the Orange Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, this and that, the Cotton Bowl. A lot of the big time money had a lot of political clout, and they weren't going to change that because they were making money. But I think it got to the point where people weren't going to bowl games anymore because they were meaningless. And that's when it changed. And then,
but it would not have been hard to because we're seeing it now. Like the bowl sites, the bowl games are still involved. And that's what I remember, like, we had this conversation back in the mid 1980s. It's like, well, you don't have to get rid of the bowl games. And we didn't have anywhere near the bowl games we have now. It's like, no, the bowls can be part of this. Like, have it at the sites. And at that time, there were the 4 major bowls. And it was like that. Make those. It's crazy that they.
But when it comes to the bowl game, though, my feeling on that is like people aren't going to those bowl games anymore. They rarely do. If they're not in one of the bigger bowls, I mean, how many people go down to? I know we travel well. You know what I mean? Like, you watch a lot of these bowl games, and it's like 50% attendance. Like,
right?
It was like that back in the day. But there was also and then again, there was also not 77 bowl games either.
Yeah, but it's the TV revenue that's driving it.
It's not like they didn't have a grid that they had used, because they were doing it for Division I AA, Division II, Division III. They knew what they were doing.
And in basketball, the NCAA tournament, March Madness, as great as it is.
How March Madness took off. Why football did not say, you know what, we could have that same thing.
And as great as it is, there's a lot of half-empty or more arenas in those first couple of rounds because of the same thing. It doesn't matter because the viewership is through the roof, and that's now
to go back to the bowl. The only problem I have with this bowl system we have right now is, the problem I will have is if the 4 losers of the opening week. So if we lose this week, we are in an opening week game. The loser of our game, their season is over. They don't get it. They don't go to a bowl game. And that's where I'm a little bit like, well, the whole system of the bowl system was to reward the team, reward the players with a trip, go into some place a little bit warmer than State College, Pennsylvania, and for Christmas through, New Year's. So the losers of those 4 games, that's when I go back. So then maybe that's where my money concept was coming from. They have to be giving these kids some kind of stipend, because I'm sorry, but I lived on that bowl money when I was in college. I know it's a different world right now when they're getting different monies, but so if the 4 losers of these games, they literally do not. Their season is over this December 21st. Done. They are not going to a bowl game where you have other teams that are 6-6 who are going to play in the Bahamas, going to play in Boca Raton, going to play in at the Alamo Bowl and all that stuff.
I hear what you're saying, and I don't necessarily disagree with it, but I don't think there's a player out there that would.
But I would just say,
man, I wish I would have gotten that bowl experience instead of being able to play in a playoff game.
Another thing that gets me is like the travel, because a lot of our fans, as well as I do, this is a lot of people's vacation.
Oh yeah,
is they do follow Penn State and go to the bowl game, and they treat that as one of their the vacation for the year or a vacation of the year. But now it's like I look at why was the Maryland game so lowly attended? Okay, so it was so lowly attended because, in my opinion, why would somebody spend $4,000 getting hotel tickets, food, booze for 2 nights when sure as hell Ohio State was going to beat Michigan? We were going to get a home game December 21st. We were guaranteed that. I'm going to save my money and wait till December 21st. Now we're at the position now where we're like, okay.
No, I don't think that. I really don't think that had anything to do with it. I think it was
the weather and the time of year.
No, it's Thanksgiving, and the students aren't there, and there's a lot of people that have other plans, and they can watch it on TV. And then the cold undoubtedly kept
and there's also
people away,
financial aspect to it.
People, I don't.
If you knew we were going to have a game in 3 weeks in Penn State, why would you spend $4,000 to go to a Maryland?
Because it's what they're doing anyway. The people that are. Most of those people are season ticket holders, and they're coming.
So my other question is that do people say, okay, I'm going to go to the Big Ten playoff game, or I'm going to save my money to try to go to the first round game?
My guess is the hotel rooms were all sold out. That
think about this playoff game. If there's a home playoff game, that's graduation weekend.
Oh yeah,
so they've already been sold out. So we're already behind. If there is a rush for hotels, that's graduation week, and I know it's a smaller graduation than the spring. I get it, but there's a lot of rooms that have been taken up already. And how do you go to some? I mean, they've already charged them graduation rates, but they're not charging them Penn State football playoff rates, which I'm sure is going to be pretty steep.
Yeah, no, it's a whole.
So there's
a
answers
whole
to
other
our question,
world.
Alan, of why we're building 5 new hotels in this area here within the next 3 years.
Well,
imagine that.
Yes, but you have to.
They put it to Sunday.
You have to hope that it continues.
You got to stay in 2 nights, though.
Yeah, it's bonkers.
It's too.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot going on, and even listen from the the logistics, and obviously it's a wonderful problem to have from Penn State's perspective, but as James Franklin was saying right after the Maryland game, I mean, it was like they had planned to give the guys a couple of days off.
Yeah.
They were making the plans for
Well,
we'll have the 20th or 21st.
I want to talk about that.
Right. And then
we had commitment day yesterday.
So, well, not only so, yes, and we need to get into that a little bit too. But so not only does the team have all of its logistics, but now all of a sudden, right, all of those Ohio State folks that were making their plans to go to Indianapolis and watch this thing, like, I need out. Well, now there's an insurgence of obviously Penn State people. The Oregon folks are holding steady, but there's a whole lot that goes into this that I don't know if people necessarily appreciate how difficult some of these things are in terms of, all right, we got to completely revamp our plans and the way we're addressing this, including, again, the organizations, the hotels in Indianapolis, again, that they I don't know how it would work, but I'm assuming there were kind of some tentative agreements in place with like the Alumni Association out there. Now, I get it. You're transferring it over to, all right, this one's out, this one's in. It's still, there's a lot of machinations that are going on there to, all right, we're ready now for the influx from this fan base, not that fan base.
Kerry works for the Alumni Association, so they had plans.
Sure.
Now think about, how do you plan ahead for a possibility? I mean, we're talking about planning ahead and saying, oh, okay, the Alumni Association needs to get hotel rooms for their members. They need to get a party set up, a tailgate party set up, and a pregame pep rally set up. And as of last week, that we were going to be, okay, we're not going anywhere. And then at Saturday at about 3:13 in the afternoon, it turned into, oh, crap. We're going to Indianapolis next week. And thank God that they had done some preliminary work as just like, hey, or they've been there before and had relationships with hotels. Yeah. But now they also they've had to have called people, like, if they're not going to be a home playoff game. You know what I mean? It was not set in stone. I mean, it's pretty much set in stone now. I mean, we lose by 35 points. Do you think we still drop out? Do you think we still host a game?
Oh, yeah.
See, last week, everybody's flipping their minds and, oh, we're not going to get a home game. They're going to screw us. And I'm like, they're not going to screw us. They can't drop us out. They can't drop us from 3 to 9. It's not happening.
First of all, I don't think
when they even purposely come out and say it's not affecting conference championship games. They're not going to be that much effect on games. And then, they talk out of both sides of their mouths.
No, you can't drop them. Like you could conceivably drop them below the SEC runner-up. Conceivably. You could conceivably, although I think even if they get blown out, where I think it gets tricky for the committee is, while I think you could make an argument that, okay, man, they weren't competitive with Oregon, let's say, 42-7. All right, now we have that much more data. We need to drop them below Notre Dame. The problem is, I don't think you really can, because Notre Dame, part of what it agreed to is, we're not in a conference. We realize
we know we won't get a bye.
There's a penalty to that, basically. And so you would be rewarding Notre Dame for not playing in a conference championship game. Again, it's one thing if you reward, like if Texas, Georgia put on a game for the ages and Penn State gets blown out, I still think Penn State should be ranked ahead of them, but you can at least make the argument, all right, well, we're comparing apples and apples here, and now we have another data point, and man, Georgia looked much better than Penn State.
Yep.
It's at least a debatable point in that case. But with Notre Dame or with any of the other, Tennessee, any of the teams that are not in a conference championship game, I just don't. If you think Penn State is better now and deserving of a higher ranking, to me, you can't drop them, and I don't think they will. I don't think they'll drop them below. Now, where I will say it can get tricky is like if Georgia again plays a great game, loses by a point to Texas on a controversial ending, and Penn State gets its doors blown off. Well, could you move Georgia up, even though it lost? Because, we have, they played well. The team that could end up getting the short shrift here is Notre Dame. Short shrift, relatively speaking. I think they would still have the home game. I think it's like a Tennessee that could get the shift. Yeah, could end up getting pushed back out of a home playoff game into an away
Texas
game
gets busted
scenario.
Up by Georgia.
Potentially.
And it's like, okay, you've had 2 shots at Georgia. You got smoked both times. And then
but it's
Texas,
one team.
Texas will have one really good win, and that would be over maybe top 16 Texas A&M.
Yeah, but it's one team. I get it's 2 losses. But it's one team that has defeated
point
them.
and counterpoint to every team, and it's just like you just don't know what the hell the committee is going to do and talk about. But in the end, they're going to take care of the SEC, and in a lesser version, they'll take care of the Big Ten, in my opinion.
Yeah.
According to all the other conferences.
Yeah.
So the bottom line, Jeff, is you win this weekend. Now, I have an honest question for you. Would you rather lose and host a playoff game and have an influx of about $20 million into this local economy? That's an honest question. You work here, I work here in this town, and then.
Well, this is
we obviously want to win in that. We obviously won the Big Ten title, but having a home playoff game is a massive influx of cash that has never been locally, never been bought this way ever.
No, and it's why. So there's a couple. Like if I'm a local business, yes, I'm probably maybe not openly, but I'm probably secretly.
Sure.
Oh, come on, lose this thing so we can get extra money. And again, they can still go out and win a national title. So
yes,
it's not like you're rooting against these young men's dreams coming true, their biggest dreams coming true. I think it's, and this is why, well, a couple of things. This is why we need to get rid of the conference championship games, because it's ridiculous that we're having to debate whether or not you
and I knew this in August. We talked about it.
But also it's why I think sooner rather than later we'll go to the 16-team format and we'll have 8 home games so that these debates aren't because it is kind of silly to when you think about it. It's like, well, why would it be debatable whether it's good or bad if you lose a Big Ten championship game? And it is a legitimate debate, certainly from the economic standpoint, but I think even to some extent from the competitive standpoint. Well, the fact that there's even any debate about that ought to be concerning if you're the College Football Playoff Committee or the NCAA or any of these power conferences. It's like, well, why would we have a circumstance where we have teams, programs, fans not sure if they want their team to win a game or a conference championship?
A hypothetical question. I mean, of course we all want to win. No doubt. But if you had your cab service, what would you say?
Oh, yeah. No, we would
bring them on. I got snow tires on all my vehicles.
Take the extra weekend of extra business for sure. No doubt about it. All right.
And I have a smile on my face since this has been going down because this has been my dream for how long, and that is a West or Southern team having to come north. I mean, I can't lose this week. We win the Big Ten title, fantastic. If not,
yes, and I do think there's a large degree of that where it really is a situation where from the Penn State perspective in particular, although really I think from Oregon's as well, this is just it's a great opportunity, and no matter how it plays out, again, you can spin it that, man, this is great news for our team or program, and capitalize on it. Again, I think long term, you've got to go to, however you work it out, it's got to be, to me, because I don't even think, and I know there's a lot of discussion about, well, they're going to go to a 14-team format, and you give bias to those first two teams. The problem is, and I do think it's a problem, is, again, just for the discussion we're having, well, if you're going to be, do you not, from a local economy standpoint and from a fan base, yeah, it's cool if we're one of the top 2 seeds and we don't have to play the extra game that these other teams do. But if they're all home games, again, it is a debatable point. It's like, well, I'm not sure. Whereas if you just have, all right, the top 8 seeds, now you're fighting like crazy to be one of the top 8 and as high a seed as you can get because you're going to be playing the lower seeds. Like that, just at the end of the day, that's what makes the most sense. And I think at some point, that's the direction we'll get to. Well, that's the direction we're heading now. I think we'll get to that actual point sooner rather than later. I don't think we'll have a 16-team playoff like next year or anything, but I would be surprised if within the next 4 or 5 years.
Do we have any idea how long the conference title championship games are on television?
That stuff will all get rewritten. Like that, if they
you think
want
they'll rip that contract, like Fox
for the
CBS,
money that's involved in the playoffs, yeah, absolutely.
No,
especially
CBS
once
will give up.
They see how these playoffs play out this year, because these playoffs are going to be must-see TV from the first round.
Absolutely murdered me a month ago, bro. When you said, of course the NCAA will want the Penn State to be the night game and have the whiteout environment. And I'm like, oh my God, it's going to be so cold. I mean, I'm a freaking crazy but dude, if there was a tailgate today, that'd be a long day, man.
It would be a long one, man. Day. That is a fact.
Woo-wee. Yeah. I mean, but it's the fact that we're talking about it is fantastic, knowing what I had gone through 30 years ago, going and playing, and how many teams were like mine, and like, okay, well, we were just outside of going to this, and I often think that in 1993, that if we had the playoffs then, we would have made a run, because KC and our offense was really hot at the end of the year, and I think
that's right.
This is a very similar team to that one, in my opinion. I think that last year leading up to this year. I got, I know we got 10 minutes left here, but I got us winning this game, bro. I really do. I just think that something is up with our staff and our players when they feel as if they have to play the perfect game against Ohio State and Michigan. They really do. I don't know if it's that they're reading the newspapers and everybody's like, well, they can't do this. They won't do this. They haven't done this. Whereas the last, like any of those teams we play, like we let it just roll and have fun. I really do think that all the games we played this year is that we let Aller out there, make some tough throws, and do Warren, have Warren get him the ball some crazy different ways, and still be able to run the ball. But we have to be able to run the ball in these big games. But I just think that we just got to let it go. And if you lose, you lose. You're still playing in 2 weeks. And you're not losing. We're playing on house money right now for a Big Ten title, so I just think that we're going to go out there and have fun and just let it roll and let it rip, man.
Yeah, I think to a large degree both these teams and coaching staffs are going to approach it with that same mindset. Again, I think everybody involved in the game wants to win and wants to win badly, but I think there's also. Again, I said it on Tuesday. I think there's no pressure on either of these teams. This isn't like, oh, we lost. Okay, well, we get a home game and we get to still go out and try to play for a national title. That is a really unique position to be in at this stage of a football season, where you have a game that, again, the benefit is good. The consequences of a loss is, to me, not very significant, really, in the overall scheme of things. And I think it should make for an entertaining game. I'm with you. I think both these teams are going to let it just go out and let it fly, have some fun,
right.
see what they can learn about the other team and the matchup. I don't think either team will be holding anything back, but at the same time, I could make an argument that, yeah, you know what, we're going to wait and see how they react to some things in case we meet them down the road. Now, I don't think either of these, I don't think that's the approach they take, but I could make an argument that it wouldn't be a bad one to take, that we're going to give them this look just because I want to see what they counter with, and then if we see them in a couple weeks, and again, that's dangerous thinking, and I that's not the approach I think either of these guys will take.
Can you imagine telling Andy Kotelnicki to let it go, let it rip, have fun with it?
And listen,
that's
I think
scary.
The other thing I think is going to be interesting is to see the number of freshmen that may make an impact in this game. Guys that have not had
this game doesn't count
a lot of
towards your four
correct,
for Joe,
nor do the playoffs, and that's why I just think this is going to be a fun game to sit back, take in, watch,
stay warm.
Again, if your team wins,
stay warm, Alan.
Man, we're Big Ten champions. We're the number one seed. All of this stuff, and if you lose, like, oh, awesome. All right, bummer we lost the game. Let's go host a playoff game and see if we can rebound and win a national title. It has the feel to me a lot like the basketball tournament championships now as well, where, again, all of those teams, do you want to win an ACC championship? Of course. Like, that'd be awesome. But do you really care if you finish as the runner-up?
It's like, okay, well, we still have our goal.
Right. If you go out and then win a national title, no, nobody cares. And I just, again, you're a competitor. You want to go win. Would you like to be the one seed? Of course. Are you thinking about, well, I don't know if I want to be the one seed if we lose in the court? No, because you're thinking if you're the one seed, you're going to go out and win a national championship. That's the mentality these guys have. Yeah.
When's the last time we were one?
Well, it's been a while.
Was it one of the Iowa losses that we had, or were we one in the country for any of those?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think we've been one since the 99.
I think that might be right, Goon. I can't think of a time.
That's 25 years since we've had the number one ranking.
Yeah.
Holy God.
Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah, we wouldn't have had it in
so unexpected. No, not one. I don't think they've been one since.
Wow. Even ranked one.
Yeah. I don't think.
94?
Well, yeah.
We were one for a while, and then they stripped us when we only won by 49 against Ohio State. So,
yeah, I think
of course you're going to drop us.
Yeah, I think that.
The 99 with LeVar, B. Short, Kopakis, and that crew, but then they lost 3 in a row. So that was the last time we were one, I think. Holy crap.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Damn it, Jeff, I blame you.
I think, again, we'll have live coverage of the Big Ten championship game for you here on Sports Radio 98.7 The Fox. Coverage will start at 7:45 on Saturday night. We'll also have the SEC championship game for you. Stay tuned now because we'll have Jed Donahue. And, again, no high school wrestling tonight. They've postponed the Bellefonte at Bald Eagle area match to tomorrow night, now at 6 o'clock. And just due to scheduling conflicts, not on air with us, but other conflicts, we will not have that match tomorrow night. But again, Bellefonte at Bald Eagle area wrestling now set for tomorrow. We will have NFL action for you tonight, starting at 7:30. With Green Bay and Detroit. And, of course, good luck to the beloved Steelers as they look for revenge against the despised Browns. And
Penn State football, Penn State wrestling, Eagles, Steelers.
Yeah,
all
lot going on. And let's get it done tonight. Penn State hoops as the Nittany Lions take on Purdue at the Bryce Jordan Center. Again, we'll be back on Tuesday. Man, we're going to have a lot to talk about then.
Nothing.
Until then, be good and be safe.
Coast into fall with a new Kia from Lion Country Kia. Right now, get a 24 Kia Seltos for 5.25% APR for up to 48 months. A new Sportage plug-in hybrid at 0.9% APR. Check out our 23 Sorento hybrid for as low as 4.5% APR. And don't forget, all 2023 and 2024 Kias come with a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited warranty. Stop in and meet with one of our sales experts today and coast into fall at Lion Country Kia. We want to see you in a Kia.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
Get our Best Wings USA, signature sauces, mouth-watering appetizers, or any of our delicious award-winning lube favorites.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak Lube.
I'm the Modelo Recruiter, and I'm looking for fans with good hands and great speed. The ones who stay focused and never miss a play. They go the distance on game day, even when their team is away. I'm always watching, always looking to reward more full-time fans. Because football isn't really football without you.
A lot has changed about State College. One thing that hasn't is W.C. Clark's Coffee Roasters on 234 East Calder Way. 30 different varieties of specialty coffee beans sourced from over 25 countries and roasted with love each morning in Happy Valley for over 45 years. They'll ship their fresh roasted coffee from their doorstep to yours. Order online at statecollegecoffee.com. That's statecollegecoffee.com.
Two of the top names in local printing have combined to serve you better. King Printing of State College has merged with theprinters.com, forming one of the 400 largest printers in America. Combining traditional offset printing and digital workflow techniques, theprinters.com can print, assemble, package, and ship to anywhere in the world, all with the same high quality customers have known and trusted for over 50 years. Buy local and save. Get started today at theprinters.com.
Lusk & Associates Sotheby's International Realty proudly presents the introduction of our new State College office at 314 South Borough Street in State College. At Sotheby's International Realty, we advertise locally, nationally, and internationally, bringing the best of advertising and promotion to each and every one of our properties, big or small. Call now.
With a Timber Kids savings account, you can start to save money, earn prizes, and teach your kids the value of savings. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. Building futures is what we do at TFCU.
You really need to belong to a credit union. You belong at TFCU, Timberland Federal Credit Union, a credit union you can grow with.
WFXX, once again.
Your sports radio. Broadcasting live, loud and proud from Central PA Sports Authority. WFXS America.
98.7 The Fox State College. The Goon and